Have you really wondered why the body of late Senator Dr. Joseph Wayas was abandoned in a London morgue for so long? Well, today in this video, I'm going to take you through the story of Senator Dr. Joseph Wayas and why his body was stranded abroad. Wayas was one of the most powerful Senate presidents to ever sat in the leadership of the hallowed chambers and a member of the inner circles, what you may call cabals, of the administration of Shehu Shagari. He even acted at some point as president for 16 days. But his story today is a graphical representation of the transience of power and the vanity of wealth. Please join me as we dive into the story of Senator Dr. Joseph Wayas, the once powerful Senate president whose dead body was stranded abroad for almost 3 years. Welcome to this edition of Hispo Media. Gabriel here. Joseph Wayas was the Senate President of the Federal Republic in the era of reckless corruption, but lived his last days on charity. To be fair to him, despite widespread corruption during the time of his reign, Joseph Wayas was not personally found guilty in any corruption scandal. So, who is Dr. Joseph Wayas? Joseph Wayas was born on the 21st of May 1941. He was born in Basang, a community in present-day Obaliko government area of Cross River State. Wayas attended the Dennis Memorial Grammar School in Onitsha. From here, he went to the United Kingdom where he studied at the Higher Tottenham Technical College, London, the West Bromwich College of Commerce, Science and Technology, and the Birmingham and Aston University in Birmingham. When Joseph Wayas returned to Nigeria, he worked as a manager or controller from 1960 to 1969 for several companies in Nigeria and the United Kingdom. Wayas was a member of the Society of International Affairs at the Lincoln University in the United States. Before joining politics, he was a successful businessman. At the peak of his success, he was invited home and made Commissioner for Transport in the old Southeastern States government of late General U.J. Eswene. Between 1977 and 1978, he became a member of the Constituent Assembly. But this was just the beginning for Joseph Wayas. After former military president Olusegun Obasanjo ended military rule in the country, Wayas was elected as a senator under the National Party of Nigeria (NPN). Like all political contests in Nigeria, his road to the Senate presidency in 1979 was not easy. Wayas defeated Chief Matthew Taiwo Mbu of the Nigerian People's Party (NPP) in Ogoja senatorial election in Cross River State on July 9, 1979. Chief Mbu was a permanent fixture in the Nigerian political affairs for more than 50 years. After the NPN had zoned the post of Senate President to the South-South region, Wayas went on to defeat a renowned accountant, Senator David Omoeya Definoni from Bendel South in a shadow party election held at the Federal Palace Hotel, Lagos on September 22nd. On October 9, 1979, by 53 to 42 votes, Dr. Joseph Wayas defeated former Chief Judge of Bendel State, Senator Franklin Olusemoyiwa Atake of the Unity Party of Nigeria (UPN) to emerge as the Senate President. Wayas was re-elected as the Senate President in 1983, but the tenure was short-lived after General Muhammadu Buhari pushed the administration aside on New Year's Eve of the same year. He is one of the most flamboyant and powerful Senate presidents in Nigeria's history and was among the powerful inner circles of the administration of Shehu Shagari. Wayas was said to have an excellent relationship with President Shehu Shagari. Sources claim that during his tenure, bills were thoroughly discussed and agreed upon before being introduced. Wayas is the first Nigerian Senate president to act as President of Nigeria. But you may ask the question, how did it happen? In 1983, then President Shehu Shagari and Vice President Alex Ekwueme traveled outside the country, leaving the affairs of state under the control of Joseph Wayas. He went on to pilot the affairs of the nation for 16 days. Wayas is also the second Senate President from the South-South after Dennis Chukwudi Osadebe. Wayas represented the Ogoja Senatorial District of Cross River State alongside Senator Joseph Okwa Ansah, who represented Calabar Senatorial District. Under the leadership of Joseph Wayas, the Nigerian Senate summoned Tony Momo, editor of the Daily Times, for contempt. This caused a major legal battle in which Momo successfully argued that as a journalist, he was empowered by the Constitution to hold government accountable at all times. While on a visit to the United States in September 1981, Joseph Wayas was entertained by boxer Muhammad Ali, who threw a spectacular party in his honor. Ali had previously visited Nigeria and received a red carpet treatment. In the lead-up to the 1983 elections, Joseph Wayas was the leader of the NPN party's Lagos group that supported a change of power in Cross River State. This was done in opposition to the Home Front led by incumbent Governor Clement Ison. After the coup in 1983, Wayas sneaked into exile. However, he returned in 1987 and was held in political detention till 1988. He is credited with the lobbying for the establishment of the Federal College of Education, Obudu, in Cross River State. Later in his career, Joseph Wayas was appointed Deputy Chairman of the National Constitutional Conference between 1994 and 1995, a commission that organized and midwifed the National Conference itself. In 1998, as the regime of General Abdulsalami Abubakar was planning a return to civil rule, Joseph Wayas became a founding member of the All People's Party, APP. But the party failed to gain momentum. He later joined the People's Democratic Party in 2001, a decision that was believed to have been influenced by the then Cross River State Governor, Donald Duke. He was a strong believer in true federalism as the only solution to Nigeria's democratic problems. Wayas was appointed chairman of the Board of Trustees of the South-South People's Assembly, the SSPA. In 2010, President Goodluck Jonathan bestowed on him the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger GCON Award. But why was this enigmatic leader living in poverty and relying on charity at the tail end of his life? Well, it is unfathomable that a man who served as number 3 man in this country and even acted as president for 16 days would now live the last days of his life in poverty. Joseph Wayas served in an era where corruption was rife, though not as high and prevalent compared to what the nation is witnessing today. No case of corruption was ever traced to him in particular. Even before joining politics, Wayas was a rich man who was said to have significantly funded his party with proceeds from his private businesses. In his early 30s, he was the founder of Nicogene Group of Companies with international headquarters on Wall Street in the United States. The company's Nigerian headquarters was called Leopard House, located on Broad Street in Lagos. So, what really happened? By the time civilian rule was overthrown following a military coup in 1983 and Nigeria returned to military rule, Dr. Joseph Wayas lost his business empire. His sprawling business empire that stretched from New York to Milan and Nigeria was lost for good. He had sacrificed all in the battle with the military and minority politics of the time. Some would say that is a price he paid for attempting to liberate his people of present-day Cross River from the shackles of the majority. But having served as a number 3 citizen of the nation, one is expected to enjoy some benefit and special privileges after retirement. It appears this may not have been the case for Dr. Joseph Wayas, who retorted in an interview that he only lived on the goodwill of some generous Nigerians. According to him, his pensions never came as at when due. He added that such treatment could mean an invitation to corruption for those still in public service today. He said, unquote, "Obviously, after serving the nation and you get to my age and you are referred to as retired, you should be able to benefit from your service to your fatherland. But it is not the case, though it is not right to conclude that everything is not done rightly. What you expect to hear from me is that, no, it doesn't matter, it is okay. But the truth is that it is not okay. It is very hard. So I expect or hope that this area should be looked into and all corrections made. To me, if people like us live in very terrible condition, it is not good for Nigeria. People in other countries will look at it as an invitation for corruption for officials while still in service. But any money or wealth you acquire wrongly will disappear wrongly. Yes, I am suffering. There was a time a governor asked me a question, "How have you been able to resolve this?" And I gave him an honest answer, "By the goodwill of people." That is the honest truth. End of quote. However, before his death, the Cross River State government had taken up the welfare of the former senator while he was bedridden in London. But Wayas could not make it back from London. After a long illness, Joseph Wayas died in a London hospital on November 30, 2021 at the age of 80 years. His first wife died 12 days after and has since been buried. But the revered and flamboyant politician's remains, which was deposited in a morgue in London at the time of death, remained there for almost 3 years. But I will come back to that shortly. However, after about 2 years and 9 months since his death, the body was received at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport at about 4:30 a.m. on July 10, 2024. From the airport, the body was driven straight to the National Hospital Abuja and was deposited at the hospital's morgue. But why was the late former Senate President's body stranded abroad for so long? Well, 2 reasons are believed to have been responsible for the abandonment of the body of Senator Joseph Wayas in London for almost 3 years. The first and most pronounced problem was a disagreement within his immediate family. Ntufam Fidelis Ugbo, a former executive secretary of the Nigerian Planning Commission, said, "The son of the deceased, Joseph Wayas Jr., is in a better position to explain why the body of his late father had not been interred." Meanwhile, in an interview on Arise TV, Joseph Wayas had this to say.
As is not unusual in families that have a polygamous nature, the differences in everyone start surfacing at a time like this. And we never saw it coming. Quite frankly, the issues that divide us are surmountable. They had no place in the public space. And some of the issues that eventually came up were defensive measures by one side or the other.
Financial constraint facing the family was also said to be another angle to the whole controversy. Even when the state government committed funds for this purpose, sources claim that the funds was not well managed. The controversy surrounding the funeral funds led to the resignation of key members of the funeral committee impaneled by the former Cross River State Governor, Professor Ben Ayade. The committee was headed by former Attorney General Kanu Agabi along with Ntufam Fidelis Ugbo. Despite the back and forth, a new funeral committee was constituted by the current Cross River State Governor Prince Basi Edeto to oversee the funeral. The new committee, along with a social group Who is Who in Northern Cross River, have succeeded in repatriating the body from London. What is now left is the actual burial. But at the time of this video, no date has been fixed for the burial. The story of Senator Dr. Joseph Wayas is a typical example of the transience of power. Click the video displayed here for more on the story of the coup that removed Joseph Wayas from power in 1983. For more interesting stories like this, don't hesitate to like this one and subscribe to Hispo Media and on the bell notification. And I will see you in the next story. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.